to Trending in Sports. Allie Monroe with you. From the outhouse to the penthouse. Just a few weeks ago, Alex Anthopoulos was fighting for his job, and now people are wondering if he should get promoted once Paul Beeston retires. News out of the Toronto Raptors organization is also coming up. Christina Succi and Sam McDade along for the ride. Hello, ladies.
Hello, but wait,
Allie.
we should tell about big news.
I know we really want to get
Right
to
off
that
the top.
The big news,
I
I
think
think.
news to everybody.
I want to talk about the big news.
All right. Well, we'll start with the big news then. I think that's fair. We have big news to share with our viewers. Next week will be our last half-hour show of Trending in Sports. We have been extended into the winter and will now be an hour-long program across Ontario starting on September the 11th. We're really excited about that, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, like, I always wanted to talk for an hour anyway.
And have
for
people
me,
listen.
This is really exciting because finally people might listen to me for more than 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
Very
I feel like
excited.
producer Ryan was making us be quiet after 29 minutes of programming,
Just
but
wasn't
now
enough.
60 minutes? Anyways, we would like you to tweet our show. We have a new Twitter page that we'll get up on the screen for you. We are Rogers TI Sports now on Twitter. Give us a follow. We're only at 65. We need to do better than that. But if you have any story ideas or segment ideas, we definitely want to get you guys involved. Our email is provided on the page. We'll give you a follow back as well because we want to hear all your sports news and get you way more involved in our programming. But today we have a very special guest. He is an entertainer himself, the creator and host of Cool Radio on CFRE here in Mississauga, and our basketball expert, Daniel Mante. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, ladies. How are you guys doing today?
Good, thank you
Hello.
for asking. You're no stranger to these Rogers studios, though.
Definitely not. I'm from the hollow walls of Rogers TV Peel. Feels a little strange and nostalgic being back, but nonetheless, I'm glad to be back. Shouts to the whole team. Brian Dunn, I see you.
Producer Ryan.
Exactly.
Well, we're happy to have you, and we should just start with, the big news this week, that is basketball, and that would be our women's national team just cleaning up at the FIBA Americas, following that awesome performance at the Pan Am Games where they won gold. What is this team capable of in Rio in 2016?
Well, the sky's the limit for the Canadian women's basketball team. I mean, you're talking about a team that dominated through the Pan Ams and through the FIBA Americas tournament. So we can only expect big things from them in Rio in 2016. What they did was nothing short of phenomenal, and I think they put a huge target on their backs going into London because everyone's going to be looking towards them as the contenders for that tournament.
Now, Daniel, FIBA as well as Pan Am Games, both kind of in home soil, not necessarily home soil, but in one continent.
Yes.
Now we're going to Rio. That's international play. How do you think that the girls' team's going to hold up? Does that make a difference? Because we talk a lot about home ice advantage, home field advantage, here and
Home
home
court
court
advantage.
advantage.
There you go.
But how does that change the game, the international ball?
Well, see, here's the thing. I mean, that home field, home court, however you want to coin it, it's the ultimate X factor. Whether it's for the positive or the negative, that's up for you to decide. But definitely, it gives you an extra lift of energy to know that you're playing in front of your home crowd. And I think the ladies use that to their advantage. They can easily do what they did off of the field, off of their own field, basically, or court, in this situation. But nonetheless, it is the ultimate X factor, and they used it to their advantage. Going into Rio, they have to understand that it won't be like that. They're not going to have that same advantage. But I think they're well aware of that, and I think they're well conditioned to that as well. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that it can go both ways. And I know we're talking about the X factor being, an atmosphere factor. But tell us, who are the X factor players on the team?
Good question.
Oh man, I gotta say, Kia Nurse, she's the one holding it down, and she lives up to her last name because she sent each and every one of her defenders to the ER room. I mean, the amount of buckets, the amount of buckets this lady was putting up was incredible. I mean, you're talking about a woman who had about 30 points in the 81-73 victory.
Yep.
Over what was it? Not Cuba. It was America.
Yes.
In the was it the FIBA tournament?
Pan Am.
Tournament. Sorry, I got the two confused. But nonetheless, it was an impressive feat. They've never beaten America before, and she was the flag bearer for the closing ceremony. So how sweet is that? And
I feel like we've been really lucky this year with female athletes here on Trending. We've been talking so much about Kia Nurse and Eugenie Bouchard, and we'll be talking about another Canadian female later on in this show, Brooke Henderson. But yeah, she's just, like, I have to quote you on the Nurse, living up to the last name. I'm like, is he going to incorporate Darnell Nurse into this? But no, sending all of her defenders to the ER, that's
It
that
happens.
was gold right there.
It happens. Broken angles, shots in the eye. Like we gotta get these people on some morphine real quick.
Equipment, maybe.
Yeah, get them on an
Equipment.
IV. Eh?
Exactly.
Yeah, they need it.
Well, you brought up never beating the USA before, so
Yes.
I guess that's kind of the big elephant in the room. Obviously, we talked about it here on Trending in Sports. A lot of the countries sending their developmental teams to the Pan American Games, and Canada sending their strongest squad. So what team are they going to be facing in Rio, that American team that's won 4 back-to-back Olympic gold medals in basketball?
Well, it's no secret. America has always been at the top of the list when it comes to basketball. Like, no team can touch them. It's taken at least 20 years for the rest of the world to catch up to them. And, you know, despite the fact that it was a very impressive feat, them beating America in this tournament, Rio's going to be a different story. You're now going up against professionals like Candace Parker, like Skylar Diggins, like Maya Moore. Like, these are the ladies that they have to watch out for. For the next year or so, they have to watch game tape after game tape to know what their weaknesses are and try to exploit them. A lot of these ladies on the Canadian team, they're very young. A lot of them are in the NCAA. Very few of them are in the WNBA. So I think they have to use whatever they have to their advantage in order to see how they measure up to these ladies. So it's going to be a very tall task, to say the least.
Now, Dan, I can definitely hear how passionate you are about this in your voice when you're talking about Canadian superstars and American superstars. And I like to think, what if Canada does meet U.S. in Rio? What are you most excited for in that matchup? Who are you most excited to see play the opposing?
I'm going to say this. I mean, we've been praising Kia Nurse for the last minute and a half or so.
Yep.
And we've been praising her for, you know, being the flag bearer for the FIBA closing ceremonies.
Sending her defenders to the ER.
There you go.
One more time.
Also, you know, she was the MVP of the FIBA tournament as well. So, and she's only 19. So I want to see how she's going to step it up this time around. I'm curious to see how she's going to take control of this team. And mind you, she's going to be 20 by the time this tournament rolls around. So it's a very tall task to ask of her, but it's the Olympics, man. It's either, you know, put up or shut up. So
Go big or go home.
there you go.
Put up or shut up. You are full of the one-liners.
You
You
need
are
a
welcome
bumper
here
sticker
anytime.
company.
That's what I do. What can
So
I
that
say?
was just women's chat. We have
Yeah.
to get to the men's because
Okay.
they have not qualified for Rio just yet. They do have an exhibition tournament coming up. That 13-man roster was announced Thursday of this week. So one more cut to be made to bring it down to 12. They are definitely more NBA influenced heading into the qualifiers in Mexico. Can that make or break them?
You
Are
know
they
what?
messing with a good thing? You know what I mean?
I don't necessarily think they're messing with a good thing, only because of the fact that while they did do well in the tournament, at the same time, the NBA is by far the best league in the world. So I think it would only make more sense that you include majority of your roster to be on this team. Because at the end of the day, Pan Am is just for the amateurs, whereas the Olympics is for the big guys. Now, with that being said, a lot of these guys on the Canadian team are either between their late teens to their mid-20s. So are they ready for this tournament right now? They're as ready as they'll ever be for the tournament, but I can see this same squad or something similar to it ready within the next 10 years and ready to be within the prime of their careers. So you can't not have someone like Andrew Wiggins not on your team. You can't not have someone like Tristan Thompson on your team. Kelly Olynyk. You need these guys to be on your squad. If you have an opportunity for them to put up the points to bring down the boards, then why not have them?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, but we know that Tristan Thompson hasn't signed on to be with
He's
Team
waiting for his
Canada.
NBA contract.
So he was waiting
Yeah.
for his NBA contract, which I get, because if he were to get injured training with Team Canada, well, there
Exactly.
goes your contract and your possibly NBA career
Yeah.
for the next foreseeable future.
Get that money.
So I understand that he's not signed on with Canada right away, although I don't like it. But I do know that we have Andrew Wiggins, we have Nick Stauskas, we have Kelly Olynyk, we've got Anthony Bennett. We've got so many good players that contribute different things. And, you know, with Anthony Bennett already having that international experience, he's really going to add versatility. But as we know that the game is a lot different than NBA game, right? It's different rules. It's 40 minutes as opposed to 48 minutes. Maybe the Raptors
Bit
wanna
more
play
tactical.
in this
Yeah.
game, considering they can't put in a full 48-minute effort.
Shots fired.
But
Damn, that hurts. That hurts.
hey, I am a Raptors fan. I am. Everyone knows this who watches this show.
Uh-huh.
But I just, you know, I got
Christina is the North.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Queen
We the
North.
Christina the North.
Yeah.
Might as well call her Northwest.
Yeah,
No,
but
no.
I know that they're gonna have to slow it down. So how are fast-moving players like the ones we just went over gonna be able to manage with that?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because within like the last 4 or 5 years since I would say the Big Three era in Miami, the NBA is gradually moving to a more pace and space style of basketball.
Absolutely.
So you have this brand of basketball called small ball, where it allows someone who would normally play a small forward center position just to go up and down the court. But at the same time, you now have bigs who can stretch the floor and can shoot beyond 16 feet. So I think the NBA is well ready for that. You have a guy like, let's say, for example, Anthony Davis, who is well equipped for that. Someone who's 6'10", he's lanky, used to be a guard when he was in high school, and he has the ability to go outside of his range. I feel like the NBA, the players on this NBA squad are ready for that challenge. They haven't really been presented with too many challenges during their international career for the most part. So this is just like another, speed bump, so to say, in the middle of the pack. And I would also say that I don't think the international rules have affected them greatly. I mean, you're talking about in a system where you can actually grab a rebound while it's still within the cylinder, where there is in the NBA. You can't do that.
Right.
So I think they're given a bit much more to work with rather than less in the NBA, because I feel the NBA is a bit more conservative and a bit more restricted in that regard.
So a guy like Brady Heslip, who does have this international experience, who was there when they didn't qualify for the London Olympics, what do you think he brings with that fresh in his mind, that fresh heartbreak of not qualifying for the Olympics?
One thing only, redemption.
Right?
He's got something to prove. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Like how we were just joking about We the North, like that was basically our calling to say that we got a chip on our shoulder, and we're here to prove that, we're out here trying to do something. And I think that's what he's trying to do. So as long as he has that fresh in his mind, then I don't think there's anything that's going to stop him internally.
I think an athlete loves a speed bump, as you put it, and they like to have a chip on their shoulder. So definitely good things to come out of the men's national team as well. And before we let you go, Daniel, we have to talk Drake.
Oh, boy.
I mean, if we don't talk about Connor McDavid or Drake in an episode of Trending
Who
in
knows
Sports,
what
we
would
have
happen.
not succeeded.
Let
Has
me-
there been
Well,
an
good,
episode?
good
Let
things
me just
happen
sip my
when we talk
tea
about
real
them.
I'll let you sip your tea. I want to get into
Well,
the
it takes
fact.
back-to-back sips.
Yeah, back to back. Drake has done phenomenal things for sports, in my opinion, in the city of Toronto.
Yes.
Releasing back-to-back and the Joe Carter home run being kind of like the
Is
big
that a
thing
world
against the
tour or
Phillies.
your girls tour?
Oh, we all
my
love a
favorite
good
one.
Meekville diss, and I
Yeah.
love Nicki Minaj, but so this is kind of hard to see. But what do you think Drake has done for this city?
He's done a lot for the city. I mean, I think it was a genius tactic to debut the new jerseys during the OVO his OVO performance during the OVO Fest. I think it was a stroke of genius. But apart from that, I think he's made the Raptors relevant within pop culture. We haven't seen that since the Vince Carter era, and I'm still hurting over that right now. But nonetheless, I think he's brought back that popularity to the city. Everyone calls Toronto the Six. He has the album coming out, Views from the Six, and him kind of putting the Raptors in the forefront, so to speak, is going to give that team more visibility, at least for the casual fans. I mean, the hardcore fans, we already know what it is. We've been knowing 20 years deep. But as far as the people who don't really know about the Raptors, the people who are trying to get into them, when you have someone like Drake who's giving them that spotlight, and the fact that the Raptors are kind of like on the uprise as far as like playing and not being a bottom feeder anymore, now kind of ascending to that mid-tier, it's only going to go up from there. And the X factor, the fact that Toronto has yet to sign a major free agent in its history. So with that star power on the team, that now becomes a possibility. Cough, cough, Kevin Durant. I'm just saying.
Oh.
Really? Kevin Durant in the
Kevin
six?
Bond.
You just like drop your mic and get out of here. eh?
Yeah, and takes a
What
sip
I do.
every
That's what
time.
I do.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on Trending in Sports.
Yes.
You can listen to Daniel on his radio station, Cool Radio, on CFRE here in Mississauga. Give him a follow, DM_cool on Twitter. And we will see you next time that we have you on Trending in Sports.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And yeah, let's hope the Raptors sign some free agents in the offseason, right?
All about that. We the North, right?